y'all. Happy Monday. Did I trick you? That's my friend Ann from Organically Ann. She's got a YouTube channel too, and she lives over in California, and she stopped by on the way to Prescott to go see her mom. So I thought it'd be fun to have her do my little intro for me. So I hope y'all are having an awesome Monday, and tomorrow is gonna be September, so woohoo! And of course, I'm thrilled to pieces because we got some rain this weekend, and I'm not thrilled to pieces with how muggy it is. It feels like Arkansas out here, and that's exactly why I don't live in Arkansas. But since it's the first of the month, we're going to take a tour of my garden because I am so pleased with how everything is growing right now and all the things that are coming up. So I definitely want to give you a look at that. I've got a little bit of my fall planting done, but I'm just going to keep planting. So we're going to take a little tour, and then we're going to check out what you can plant this month in September, because there's pretty much what you can plant at the first of the month is going to be a lot of what we're going to plant all throughout the season. But there's some exciting things around September 15th that you don't want to miss out on. So let's check out that tour, and then let's see what we can plant, and we'll get to it. My zinnias look absolutely crazy because they're so tall. I mean, they're like 4 foot tall in some places, and the wind keeps blowing them over, but they keep blooming and they look awesome. But we're not out here to talk about zinnias. We're out here to see the sunflowers. So we can look at the zinnias, and there's a pretty one, but look at this one. She needs some support. Look at that big head. This is probably the biggest head of a sunflower I've had in a while, and I think these are actually supposed to be mammoths, but I'm so happy. And we still have this one to bloom. So if you plant sunflowers, and you can still plant sunflowers, it's good to know that sunflowers are heavy feeders. So if you've got really skinny ones like that one over there, that's one that hasn't had any feeding. But I've dumped some bull manure on here a couple weeks ago, and I should be probably doing that every couple weeks, and then they'd be really strong and really tall. But I'm gonna get better at sunflowers, and I'm gonna have all kinds of sunflowers up here in the front, and it's just gonna be awesome. And look, there's a bee on there, and geez, I just got stung recently, so I'm lucky I didn't get stung just then. We got some rain this weekend, and we're just loving life down here, folks. So these are a bunch of different winter squashes that are blooming up happy. I think I planted these like 2 weeks ago or something. I got rid of that loofah. It was just making me crazy. Looks like we got all kinds of calendula already coming in here, so this is going to be awesome. Self-seeded all by itself already. And then I know there's some pumpkins over here and more winter squash. Now, this loofah was still trying to act like it wants to do life, and it flowers every morning, so I let it stay. But I'm pretty stoked about how these plants are looking over here now, and I think we're finally going to get to see this old trellis here get filled out. Because it was storming and blowing really hard last night, kind of my shade cloth is gotten blown down here, but I thought I'd take a chance to show you this side of the sweet potato bed while it's uncovered, and you can just see that it is crazy happy and just flourishing all over here to the side. So this is going to be pretty exciting come December when we dig this up and harvest our sweet potatoes. Look, and just more and more growing. So, and I'm excited because I think I'm going to finally get to see these flower this year. So, super stoked about those. Now, I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to get the best corn in the world, but look at that corn. My corn is really starting to look like corn. And a couple times, because it's been trying to do the monsoon thing, it's kind of gotten them a little blown over. So you can kind of see down here that I've been kind of making a hill around them with compost. And I fed everything in my garden this weekend with the Tony's Magic Mix, and then I'm going to get back on track with doing my fish fertilizer every week. So right now all the squash looks great. The corn's doing as well as it can. And next, I'm going to come in here in the little spaces in between and plant some beans that will hopefully, in theory, grow up the corn. So now that hopefully the corn will get another foot or two on it in the in the next week or so. So by the time the beans are ready to climb, they'll have something to climb on. So I am pretty stoked about this bed, especially considering what a kind of miss it was last year when I tried to grow sweet potatoes in it. So looking forward to seeing some cool stuff over here. The okra is hanging on. It got a little bit of fish fertilizer a week or so ago. It keeps making these really overly fat pods that are just hard, and they don't, they're not great. And then some of them are okay, but if I leave them just 1 minute too long, then they start to get not so awesome. So see, like, it still makes some like this, but I don't know, just more and more I'm seeing of these. So I promise you, friends, I'll never grow okra in a plastic bucket again. Maybe in a grow bag. I'll definitely throw one in a grow bag this year and see what it looks like. But in the future, I think this is too big of a plant for it to be happy in a bucket. Now, this cantaloupe plant over here and the watermelon are looking like they're going to go ahead and maybe start flowering. So all this week is nice cool temperature, so I'm excited to see some stuff get into blooming and pollination. I've got one other sunflower, and it's up to about as tall as my nose, I would say now. And I think it's going to get taller, but my husband doesn't think so. I think it's going to get to 12 foot tall or better. So you guys are going to have to keep up with this. But if it blooms, then I don't think it's going to get that much taller. So, and I kind of recklessly tried to tie up my zinnias, mostly for the seeds, so that's what I'm trying to accomplish with keeping those going. And I don't know if this Cosmo's going to make flowers. Maybe if it cools off enough for it this week, it'll relax and start to go into a bloom. This right here, I'm not going to talk a lot about it today because we're going to get into it a little bit more. But this is the first phase of a project that my husband Dale is putting together based on some wicking buckets that we've learned about from a gentleman named Leon. So that's just a quick look at it. We're going to put a tomato plant in it, and then, like I said, I'll share with you a little bit more about that in the future. I planted just kind of 2 other summer squashes besides cucumbers. So I've got some zucchini coming in here, and then over here I've got some yellow straight neck squash. And in this container, you can't see it now, but I seriously overplanted this with spinach. So we should see this start popping up here in the next couple days, and then you'll get to see what that looks like soon. Now this is a leftover butternut that is just so happy, and this is going to be so cool because the weather is going to get nice. It's going to start blooming, and I'm really going to have some good luck with a butternut. This weekend, I was able to, in between rains, I took some of these babies and planted them out here, and some of them are actually already starting to flower. So I'm pumped. They look happy. They got a lot of rain to help them get settled into their new spot. So I think this is going to be a really awesome opportunity for me with some tomatoes. Now, if you're in the valley, I seriously, I could meet up with you to get you some of these starts. I've really got an abundance of Cherokee purple and yellow pear, which is what this is. And by the time it's all said and done, I'm probably gonna have like 3 or 4 of these plants. Now down here, I've got my first Brussels sprout working its way. I actually planted, well look, so you can almost see one right there, because I planted 4 in this bag just to see who would be the survivor. And this has been the best one so far. So I'm still keeping it covered up from the little birds. And this is my other awesome tray of tomatoes. So I think there's maybe 1 or 2 things from here that I haven't planted, but seriously, I have a lot of tomatoes to share, so let me know. I kind of wrangled up the tomatillos some and got them to where they weren't taking up the entire bed, even though this one right here is trying to come out again. So, but it's good to have a trellis. You know, I've got this kind of string twine and a stick kind of making a barrier to keep them in there. And I'll soon have a bunch of kale coming in here. These are a couple of cucumber I planted. Now, another thing, I think this plant right here is a spaghetti squash, but I'd have to look at my old planting chart to see what it was. But it's doing really nice, like this other squash right here. And I've got some cucumbers coming in here. That's one. And then there's a couple over there. And then when I was doing seedlings with the tomato seedlings, I thought, you know, just for the heck of it, I'm going to stick 2 of these like really skinny tomatoes over here. These are yellow pears, and now they're doing okay. So in the midst of that, if you look, brassica seedlings are so small, but I just kind of wild planted. I've got everything from pak choi to collard greens. I've got some mustard greens over there, so we should start seeing this thing fill out and have a need to be thinned here very soon. So this will be exciting to see where this goes. This is my pineapple plant, and you can kind of see what I mean over here. Like, see how in the middle of that it was starting to yellow, and I reckon that was because it was getting too much water. So this week I backed off on the watering, and then even though it rained, I'm gonna let go on the watering, and since I have, it's greened back up and it's looking happy again. And again, this is up to my waist. This is how tall this is right now. So now if we want, in November, we'll be able to put an apple on that and close it up in a bag and make us a pineapple. So I don't know if we'll do that. We'll see. This basil, now this is basil that I brought home from Sprouts in one of those cups where it's almost just as cheap to buy the basil as it is to buy the basil already cut up. And I separated it. So it's flowered a couple times. I pinched the flowers off. I need to cut it back and make some more plants out of it. And this is that squash that is right here. So I'm just letting it be, though. That right there, friends, is my happy little garden. One drawback to all this rain is it's like 80 degrees outside and I'm just drenched. I just look nasty and so gross. So I'll catch up with you in a minute and we'll chat more. But it's Arkansas outside today here. For this month in September, we get our last chance to plant snap beans, which is like your green beans varieties. Then we can plant, this month we can plant bok choy, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, celery, collard greens, a last chance to plant some standard cucumbers, then endive, leek, mustard greens, green onions, parsnips, sage, rutabaga, last chance for some more summer squash like zucchini or yellow squash, turnips, kale, kohlrabi, all the lettuces. And then on the 15th, you can bring in beets, peas, fennel, garlic, and you can start planting strawberries all the way through November. So remember, this is the time to get started on your strawberries, not in the spring. Do it on September 15th and by November. So that's what you can plant in September. All right, well, I hope that that was fun to check out how my garden is growing, and I hope that you're excited about all the fun stuff that we can plant here as the cool season comes along. Now, this week it's going to be muggy, humid, a little bit of chances of rain, and we're going to have some cooler temperatures. Next week we're going to kind of ease back up, no really higher than the 105s, 106s, and by the end of the month we'll be back down into the 90s. So this is the best time of year, in my opinion, for gardening in Arizona. So this is our spring planting season, if you will, that everybody else gets to enjoy. So our second spring, maybe. So I hope you're having the best day ever, and thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll check in with you next time.